Yes, indeed. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome all. Welcome, Goglings, Gogorifics, and Gog peoples. Welcome to episode 466 of Pen and Pixels. I am your host, Arvin Elleron. This is the show that we do here every Tuesday afternoon. We have previously been doing it from 4:15 to about 7:15 p.m. Eastern, but that is different this time. We are going to be doing this today until 5 p.m. Eastern, and that is to accommodate all of the lovely European players who would like to be able to get to bed before an ungodly hour in the middle of the night. Now, they're going to be getting to bed later, but not in some ridiculous hour, which means everyone will be nice and awake, and everyone will be in a good mood, and everyone will be happy, and it'll be all good. So that is why we are doing this. That will just be once a month. The other Tuesday Pen and Pixels will be at their usual time of 4 o'clock, but normally we will be doing earlier. Now, we were supposed to start today at 2 p.m. Eastern originally, but we had a mix-up because, of course, 2 p.m. Daylight Savings Time for me means that it's still not daylight savings time for the Europeans, which means that everyone assumed it was starting an hour later. So there was a mix-up time zones. I apologize. However, it's all solved. It's all resolved. We won't have this problem next month, so it'll all be good. But welcome to Buy the Dice Roll with Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Before we go any further, just a couple of reminders. Please make sure to follow us here on the GogComs Twitch channel. Please consider subscribing to us here on GogComs Twitch channel. And if you haven't already done so, please make sure to click through and check out our individual channels because we have our own subsystems and Patreons and good stuff like that as we go through. One quick note, we will be here until... He said, looking, until Kilgore Trout joins us in a few hours. About 6 hours from now, Kilgore will be here with Deus Ex Game of the Year. And then I will be back to all of you lovely folks on Thursday on my own channel playing Expeditions Rome. And then on Saturday night, also more Expeditions Rome. And then next week, of course, is April. And in April, we will have more playing of Neverwinter Nights Doom of Icewind Dale on this channel and or D&D Ghosts of Saltmarsh. As we move into the end game of this campaign, we're not quite at the end game yet, but we're close. We are moving into the home stretch of Ghosts of Saltmarsh. So yeah, that's exciting. So we will see. 6-hour D&D session. No, not quite like that. Although there may be a longer session down the line. We'll see. Depends on how things look for our finale and all that kind of good stuff. But anyway, so that's what we're looking for. So with all that said, I am going to unmute myself and apologize for whoever I interrupted because I couldn't hear them. And then I'm going to unmute them. And last but certainly not least,
every time he's so rude.
I'm going to head over to, I did something. I interrupted somebody. To the crew. At the moment, now there are only 3 people on the crew at the moment. One of them, Silvo, Mike, of course, Wholesome Horror Gaming, is not with us because of a mix-up in scheduling. Mike will return next month. And Brian Inanda is currently dealing with a sick puppy. And I will just say that it is apparently the puppy's fault that it is sick. So it has no one to blame but itself. Anyway, so Inanda will be joining us shortly, hopefully, assuming everything is okay with her poor dog. But otherwise, we have the other 3 that are with you at the moment, and I am excited for that. So I will begin with the lovely person on the far left of the row, and that, of course, is Pyron Jade, who is here with us. Welcome, Pyron. I hope all is well with you. How are you doing? I haven't seen any of these people, by the way, for like 2 months because it's been so long with things going on. So we're back, and I'm happy. Pyron, how are you? How's life with you? And who are you playing today?
Hello, I'm fine. You might still hear like my voice a little bit different because I was like sick last week and I had like this really cool blues voice, which made it all worth it.
Nice.
But nope, it's gone again.
Yeah.
And people in chat, I just want to tell you, like, because Arf is always like, oh, I'm sorry who I'm interrupting. You just have to imagine that we're like always just sitting here, talking, chatting, and then boom, suddenly, Dungeon Master.
I thought it was more that you wait and then you're like, okay, I guess, and then I'm like, hi, like you just like immediately leap in.
So yeah, you will hear me a little bit coughing, but it is fine, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to play. And I'm playing on my Kenko Paladin Waves Crashing Against Rocks tonight, and I also have the sheet of Mike's character of what was the whole name? Silvo. I'm gonna check it out one moment because now that Silvo Janus Betulus, because so if needed, I can maybe just do a little bit of silvoing here tonight, if needed. And I have to admit, because it has been so long, Arv, I don't completely remember who we murdered or not murdered or something like that. So I will need to catch up on that.
It's okay. You'll see in the recap. We will talk about the things that happen as I bring everyone up to speed. But always a pleasure to have Pyron with us. Also a pleasure, of course, to have Dark Saber 2K with us. As always, Saber, it's good to see you. And as always, thank you for Moobot and Dashboard. And welcome. How's everything with you? Oh, wait a minute. Shirt. Oh, I see. The shirt is okay. I've seen that shirt. I was like, I wanted to make sure I recognize the shirt because your shirt game is always on point. How are you doing? How's life with you, and who are you playing today?
I've been doing all right, taking a break from being a pirate yakuza in Hawaii to be well, we're not quite pirates yet. We've spent most of this campaign working on that, but maybe sometime I will be a dwarf pirate artillerist. But for now, I'm just a dwarf and artillerist. But more than a Gagoniant, also sporting flamethrowers like I have on my pirate ship in Pirate Yakuza.
I'm sensing a theme.
Flamethrowers on a ship sounds like an absolutely safe thing to do. That game has confirmed it. I guess this is what we're going to be doing going forward.
Absolutely. My expedition campaign, Eberron campaign, they were flying an airship, and at one point there's a battle. They're trying to rescue halflings and their dinosaurs from a bunch of undead. This is what happens in Eberron campaigns. Anyway, their ship, as they're flying down, they're like, all of a sudden they're like, do we have anything on the ship, like weapons? I'm like, do you mean the 4 prominently placed ballistas? And they're like, yes, the ballistas. So they're like running over and firing them. So I think if it were flamethrowers, it would be that much better. But yes, I'm excited to see what new form Morthwill's artillerist skills take as we go along. Because as a reminder to everybody, I believe you just leveled up to level 5. Or you were you level 5?
We were already level that, or I've completely forgotten to level up, which is unlike me.
Let's double check though, because you should have you're just about to level. So I want to make sure that I know if everyone is level 5. Anyway,
I have level 5 currently listed, and
you are 5 now.
Level up. Yes.
I don't think we leveled after last time, right? I don't believe.
I don't remember anything being mentioned because I probably would have started work on it.
Let's see.
Let me just check that was at level 5.
2 level 5 characters here.
Level 5 would have got me arcane firearms. So we've had that a while.
So, wait, say that again. So you.
Yeah, well, that's my gun. That's what unlocked my pistol, my little.
So you had
pistol.
level 5 already.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, guess what?
Spoilers.
Someone may be leveling to level 6 shortly, because there may be a big adventure on the horizon, chat. We will see. I will talk about that in a minute. As I mentioned,
Destroy Island.
Yeah, sure. Obliterate skeleton people. So awesome to have Saber with us as always. As I say, Wholesome Horror Gaming will be back to us next month. As I said, playing Silvo. As I said, Inanda playing Brian the Bloodthirsty will be back to us as soon as everything is okay with her dog, which should be hopefully in the next few minutes. And so moving right along. Speaking of someone who is all right with dogs as long as everything is protected from roving cats, so to speak, that, of course, is Undeveloped Bruce. Bruce, it's good to see you. I hope you're doing okay. How is everything with you, the dogs, and so on, and whom are you playing today?
Hello. Yep, everything is going well, thank you. The dogs are doing great. I've been doing home improvement things, which is fun, and you cruelly, when you unmuted us, disturbed me telling the others about going through B&Q in a cute summer dress and knee-high socks with foxes on, pulling a trolley that was full of cement and sand and wood and everything, and the double takes I was getting every time I was going past anyone was great. So yeah, things going well. Soon the dogs will be able to sunbathe, which they will love.
Yeah.
And we have some doggy sun cream because we've got some bald bellies because they're greyhounds. Yeah, and today I am playing No, I'm not. I've got the wrong turtle open. I'm playing Green, who is not Crackshell Barnacle Beard, who is my other turtle.
I was gonna say, do you want a Crackshell for Green? That seems,
No, he's not. I couldn't reuse that name for Green. So yeah, and he is a level 5 turtle cleric, life domain. And in the last session, he brought a bad guy back to life because he doesn't believe in killing people. It's okay. He's going to convert him. It's fine.
Yes, we had a bit of a revelation about lethal damage versus non-lethal damage last time. So that was part of the mix. But that's good. We all learned something that time, and it was valuable. So actually, I should mention that story came up in my shameless plug latest Gen GMs episode that I did with Zach Clay. Zach and I do work on, we do a podcast, vidcast type thing on DM and GM tips. And that subject came up about what to happen when some completely unexpected expectation of one person or two people or three is different from others, and like how do you navigate that. And you all navigated it very well, but it was one of those things where I was just like, here's how to not let things go off the rail entirely if such a thing happens. So but always a pleasure to have Bruce with us. And I see now that Inanda has returned, which indicates to me that probably her dog River has survived, I'm guessing, this horrific experience.
Oh, she's absolutely fine. Yeah, she's absolutely fine.
Is your floor or rug fine or carpet fine? Or
it is less fine, but it is clean. Yeah. So just to put it in context, obviously with the new time change and everything for the D&D stream, I got myself a little tiny microwavable burger. Just wanted something warm before we went live. And turned my back and came back, and River had scoffed it. She's usually got the constitution of an elephant, so I wasn't overly worried. However, literally as we were about to change scenes, she threw up all over the office.
Oh,
so
no.
yeah, just clean that up. She's absolutely fine.
I will quickly say that my dog Lilo years ago, when we just gotten her, it was not that long after Christmas time, so it was a couple of months that we had gotten her before, and so maybe 3 months we'd had her, and then Christmas happens, and we come back one time and we find the apartment where we were living in Brooklyn at the time just looked like there had just been like someone had essentially vomited cocoa all over the place. And what had happened was she had gotten into this box of hot cocoa and had like eaten the whole thing. And I was like, oh my God, it's chocolate. It's terrible for dogs. And I'm running down the street to the vet and the whole thing. And several expensive bills later, what we determined was, no, Lilo was fine because my family was cheap and had gotten me shitty non-chocolate. So in the end, she was just like, it was like the vet was like, nah, it's not real chocolate. I'm sure it didn't taste very good at a certain point. That's why she threw it up. She's fine. So that was my dog Lilo. And Lilo went on to live with us for another 12 and a half years before passing away. So the whole got something they shouldn't have is such a woof thing for animals. Anyway, I'm glad that River's okay. And I'm sorry about your office, but I'm glad you're with us. How are you otherwise, Ananda, and who are you playing today?
I am rolling with the punches, I think is the best. It's been a crazy couple of weeks, but I'm here. So I'm taking that as a win. I am today playing Brian the Bloodthirsty, who's a water genasi fighter pirate. And yeah, I'm really excited to play today, even though it's going to be a slightly shorter session. I'm really looking forward to it.
Very cool. I'm excited for it too. And yes, let us get into the session by talking about the recap. Now, this one is specifically for Pyron because I think it's important that we be clear about what we are dealing with here. So, in our last session, as Waves was being dragged below the surface of the sea by a massive kraken tentacle, and Brine reaching out with... I'm just kidding. That's not what happened. What actually happened was I wanted to see if Pyro was going to go along with it and be like, okay, I guess that's what happened then. No, that's...
You had me doubting myself for a moment. I was like, did that... No, what?
Wait,
but
what
there
happened?
There was this tiny seed of doubt that I was just being completely confused about everything. So...
Absolutely. No, fear not. Just realize that I am showing the right map because the map has been revealed, but I just realized that I did not put up. It's been 2 months, so I forgot that I use a separate player map for all of you lovely folks. Just a moment. No one
It was just an amusing memory coming back to me seeing the scrubbing brush. I was like, oh yeah, that was fun.
Oh my God. The whole thing, it was an interesting experience. All right, give me 1 second while I get the player part of this launched, not the DM part of this launched. In this case, it doesn't matter because you had already cleared out most of that island. Just 1 second. Hatching dragons. We go down there. We go over here. Okay, I get rid of this. Carry the 1. Okay, and then I get rid of the center picture so that chat also can see things. Let's see. That's right. Okay. And then I put that back up, and then I just close that out, and then we will be fine. Great. Okay, wonderful. We're all fine, thanks. How are you? Okay. Everyone's got the right map now. So what actually happened in our last session was the party recognizing the growing threat of the Sahuagin and whatever it is that's behind the Sahuagin and organizing a possible invasion of the somewhat good people, at times good people, of Saltmarsh and the rest of the coast. The party has been trying to figure out some issues concerning what exactly the Sahuagin are doing and when that invasion is going to come. The suggestion came that they should go to this island where there would be a good chance of surveillance and basically get the information they need to fully get the council on board that will then presumably muster enough people and muster the defenses of the town. And, it's the classic, the council doesn't believe you, so you have to do things to convince them, because no town council ever knows what the hell it's doing until you convince them with actual evidence. So that is what the party decided to do. They went to the place known as Abbey Isle, and what they discovered was, first of all, a beach filled with skeletons that rose from the sand to attack them, although fortunately, using a pirate map, they were able to avoid most of them. Then they found an abbey that they went down into the basement of and discovered a group of robed clerics who said hello to them and sort of talked to them. And the party got a strange vibe from them very early on, that there was something a little weird about the way they were acting. Clearly, these clerics had been marooned on the island, but it wasn't clear as to why or what had happened exactly. And also, it wasn't clear as to whether or not the clerics were the good type of clerics, that in fact they might have had some truck with evil, if you will. They also met a mercenary known as Bayleaf, who made clear that the leader of the clerics here, a man named Ozymandias, was not particularly to be trusted, and that indeed this was an evil order, and that he himself had grown tired not only of serving the evil order, but also of being stuck on an island and not having any money coming his way. And so Bayleaf spoke to a few of them, and I believe Morthwill was one of the main contacts with Bayleaf, who basically said, listen, you need to think this through, blah, 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 blah. And the party more or less kept its options open and agreed that they would take the clerics back to the boat. But when they got back up onto the mainland out of the basement, there were some arguments that started to happen, some disagreements about what should actually happen, about what happens when they get back to the mainland, some discussions of how they were going to, thank the party for the boat, but not let the party survive the trip and all this kind of stuff. Fisticuffs began, and the party managed to lethally eliminate a couple, and then unlethally, when they realized what was going on and that there was a misunderstanding with Green, unlethally eliminate from the picture several other characters, including Ozymandias and one of the main guards. The remaining guards might have attacked, except that Bayleaf then came up and basically ordered everybody to stand down, and said that he wanted to work with more reasonable people, and said, and I quote, "Now that we've found someone more reasonable, can we please discuss a way to get off this island?" And that was where we left it at the end of our session last time. So the party has pretty much resolved most of this, but as I hand things back over, I'm going to ask the party what it wants to do. You have a number of corpses. You have, of course, all the skeletons in the dunes. You have several unconscious figures, including the leader of the evil clerics, and you have Bayleaf himself. So with all of that, I'm going to hand things back over to the party. Oh, and you have a cleaning brush. Can someone remind me what the heck happened with the cleaning brush again? What was the cleaning brush thing?
It was greens.
Yeah,
I knew it was greens. That was clear.
Spiritual weapon.
That's right.
Is a cleaning brush.
That's right. Okay. I knew it was greens. I just didn't remember why.
We can dismiss it now if the fight is over.
We've still got the big guy, the one that's to the right of the brush.
Boo!
He's not unconscious.
And I do still have my little scuttling flamethrower for probably about 55 minutes, given how quick the
That's
combat
right.
went in rounds.
That's right. And as far as Ogmund is concerned, I believe we have the veteran is unconscious. I think Ogmund is actually unconscious. Inanda did kill one of them because she got really... sorry, not Inanda. Brine, I mean, of course. Brine, the Bloodthirsty, did kill one of these ones because Brine was really upset. I don't remember if it was Ogmund or not, but there was one person that Brine was like, nope. And Brine...
I think it was Ogman, but I don't know if I actually killed him or not.
I'm pretty sure that Ogmund, that might have been the one that you brought back, maybe? Is that possible? Because you brought one of them back, I believe.
You brought...
I
I
brought
think it
back
was
the
Osmandius.
fancy man.
Oh, okay. So I would say that
Osmandius.
Ogmund, I know that we had finished up the fight, which means to me that Ogmund has got to be unconscious also. So we're going to put Ogmund as unconscious. The two guards were the ones who stepped away. They are conscious, but they're no longer fighting. And Bayleaf has just said what he said about the it's about time type of thing. So Ogmund and Ozymandias are unconscious. And I shall also mention that Silvo, who seems to be staring off into the distance and not very focused, almost as if he's somewhere else, is currently sitting at 15 out of 30 hit points. Green has a full 36 out of 36. I have Brine at 2 out of 54. Brine kind of took it on the chin in that fight. Waves at 48 out of 55, and Morthwheel 19 out of 40. That fight was could have been a little more hairy if it wasn't for a well-placed slow and some other good work by the rest of you. But yeah, so with that said, hand things back over to the party. Bayleaf is looking at all of you. What would you folks like to do?
I'm very hurt, so I'm just going to sit down and like bandage my knee and things.
Okay.
Oh, I can go around and do some healing.
I'm tying up Osmandius.
Okay. Sounds good. The as you do that, the veteran guards sort of stop by, and Bayleaf comes over and is talking to them, not whispering, but kind of like just sort of quietly talking to them, and then comes over and looks down at Ogmund and says, "Well, I didn't expect to see this one on his backside, but I can't say I mind the view. It's about time he isn't up at our level. I'd suggest that when you're done with him," he says to you, Morthwheel, "you make sure that you double tie this one's bonds. He's not exactly the smartest, the sharpest tool in the shed, but he has strength at least."
Sounds like a good idea to me. Can someone remind me why we came to this hell-blasted place?
We were investigating skeletons.
Oh, right. I thought they were coming from here.
I make like movements like my head to explain that there was a vision going on concerning this place.
And the one I had definitely came true. Ruined abbey, beach, skeletons. Check.
Yep, same here. I mean, we were only really supposed to be gathering info about the undead threat and the invasion, but we seem to have got slightly more involved than anticipated.
You're having this conversation out loud, right? Just to be clear. In other words, you're not. You're
Yeah. Just
yeah,
whatever.
just
Yeah.
okay.
No point in
I've
bluffing at this
healed-
point. We've already set half of them on fire.
I've healed Bloodthirsty for 20.
Okay, Brian is at 22 now.
22 out
Thank you
of
very much.
54 but that's
Yeah.
Brian. But-
I'm out of spell slots now, so
okay.
Unfortunately, I
I
don't have any
approach-
cures prepared for my spell list. Sorry.
I approach Brian and make a laying hands on motion and see if she's okay with that.
Like, bring it on.
That's another 25 then.
Oh, look
Oh,
at that.
that's awesome.
All right, now you just
I'm up
have
to full health then.
Morthwheel who's bleeding out. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Just kidding.
Mothwell was
Hey.
also bleeding out? How much?
I'm on 19. I'm fine.
Just a flesh
Wait.
wound.
I can split this.
I've had worse. Actually, no. I think this might be the worst I've had in this entire.
I think maybe,
adventure.
quite possibly.
Okay, then I'm just gonna split it. Then it's like 13 for Brian and 12 for Mothwell.
Thank you.
Okay, so I was on 22. So 13 is 35.
35 and
31.
31. Great. Okay. So
There
as
we
you're
go.
as you're doing this, Bayleaf says, so you came here to find out about these skeletons? And what do you mean, things coming towards the land and invasion? What on earth has been happening while we've been stuck on this rock?
We were asked to investigate a mine. During the course of investigating that mine, we found undead appeared to be coming from the direction of the sea. We were tasked to follow up on where the potential source for this might be, and were pointed in the direction of this place.
And Bayleaf sort of glances at the guards that glance back at him, and he says, I see. Well, it would certainly explain some of Ozymandias' secrecy. Although from his point of view, it was only a matter of time before we were able to overcome our current difficulties, most of which didn't involve any funds. And he kind of looks down mournfully at his pockets, and he turns them out, and there's nothing inside. And he's just like, I don't survive on nothing. I'm not a pro bono mercenary. And
That's what I've been trying to tell our employers, but they never bloody listen.
So he shakes his head and he says, well, I know that Ozymandias wouldn't like it, and certainly, and he kind of none too gently kind of semi-kicks Ogmund, and this one wouldn't either, and Ogmund, of course, still unconscious, doesn't move. He says, but the reality is that the rest of us, I think, would be happy to get back to the mainland and be done with whatever is involved here. So I'm happy to tell you whatever it is that I know that you would like. I'm happy to have you go through the Abbey, I suppose, and loot whatever's left, not that there is much. And I'd be happy to have you return to the mainland with us, after which we'll be out of your way. And if you want to take these two to the authorities, you can do it. As far as any invasion is concerned, we'd prefer not to be involved with anything relating to that.
That certainly sounds a lot more reasonable, like you were suggesting.
And he nods. Go ahead, Green.
I can see that you are a man of peace.
He sort of like, his eyebrow raises slightly, and he says, yes. So, and he goes over to the two guards, and he says, right, the three of us are happy to go with you, or that is back down into the Abbey, or to wait, or to split up if any of you have mistrust remaining. I simply have no interest in doing anything that's going to lead to more battling and fighting on this ground. You can see the guards are kind of moving uncomfortably, but they don't say anything.
Let's all go back to the ship together. One big happy group. We'll take you to Saltmarsh.
We should probably check the Abbey at least. Maybe there was something there Ozymandias was hoping to bring back with him.
And I'd like to know exactly what Bayleaf knows about everything going on, because I don't think we have the full story yet.
I agree.
Okay. So would you have like an order that you want to do those things in? What do you want to do first?
Yeah, how are we gonna manage this?
Info first, because there might be info that leads to stuff that we can find in the Abbey.
Good thinking.
Okay.
So tell us what you know, Bayleaf.
Well, when I was brought here along with the rest of these fellows, it was because most of them had some limited combat experience, and they were looking for someone else that would be able to provide that sort of leadership while they engaged in, and he kind of waves his hand, whatever nonsense it is that they're dealing with relating to necromantic spells and things of that nature. I don't particularly know. But when we were brought here, the Abbey, at least, was preserved because of an arrangement with some pirates. They had made some connections around the island, and everything was fine because the Abbey Ozymandias would be able to pay the pirates some moments, and then they'd be able to do these things otherwise. In fact, the pirates fenced some of their loot and booty, I understand, through the clerics, who shipped these goods to distant temples. It was a kind of, loot laundering scheme, I suppose you might call it. And all seemed to be fine, except that the clerics, particularly Ozymandias, began to cheat the pirates on these deals. I heard the pirates grumbling, and I tried to tell Ozymandias, but he would make arguments about sacrifices for the greater good and all that sort of nonsense. And eventually the pirates clearly
What
had enough
sort
of it.
of sacrifices?
Well, it generally involved bodily sacrifices. It didn't seem to be something which bothered Ozymandias, because he kept bringing things back from the dead, you see. Something which I don't know if anyone here has experience with bringing anyone back from the dead. He kind of blinks and looks at you, Green.
So he
I
was
think our
killing people.
methods may differ slightly.
I'm looking at Silvo at that.
So he was
Silver
killing people and
stairs.
creating an army.
He was killing people to build up an army, yes, and he was apparently doing some other kind of work that I was never given real access to, but I knew it was never going to end up well. Well, some time ago, perhaps a month or more, there was alarms outside our fortress, outside the abbey, and we looked to find that a group of pirates had been able to get through the skeletons at the bottom of the beach and arrived at the abbey. There were considerable losses, but the pirates were still, having started in a foul mood, now in an absolutely feral one. They set fire to the abbey. They didn't even bother looting the building or searching for the cellars being buried by the burning debris. And then, gathering what loot they could from the top floors anyway, they ended up surviving and taking their way out through the rubble. Although my understanding is that many of them didn't make it through well, we like to call them the Skull Dunes down there to the south. Most of them didn't actually make it out that way. Regardless, though, it meant that we had an island guarded by skeletons and no boats, which had already been burned to begin with, and a group of angry pirates that we didn't want to run into. Ozymandias said we would not be stuck for long, and then months passed, and then our food supply began to dwindle, and then people began to get upset. But he kept promising things about the vengeance of the gods and the dark ones and the ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. And he rolls his eyes and he says, "Look at me. Can you imagine that I used to be all muscle and now I'm falling to this wasted away state?" Now, Bayleaf does not look wasted away to you. He looks, maybe a little lean, but he certainly does not look as if he's at death's door. He says, but I practically was one of the skeletons in those dunes by the time Ozymandias was done with it. Regardless, I didn't know how I could get out of this situation, since he was in no inclination to let us leave, until, that is, you all showed up and conveniently eliminated the problem for us. So, Ozymandias and the clerics were here. I do know that he spent a good deal of time off by himself at different portions of the island, and also somewhere below the abbey. I don't entirely know where he went, but there was must have been a secret entrance or facility that he had down there. Whether or not that has any answer to what you were talking about regarding the undead or invasions, I cannot say. I was never allowed in there myself. But certainly there were secrets that Ozymandias kept. And, who only knows what secrets he still remembers after that nasty knock on the head you've given him.
Well, he's lucky to have a headache at all, to be completely honest.
He nods. That's probably fair.
So I would have probably been spending this time tying them up. I don't know if you need me to make any skill checks for that.
I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
Well,
And yes, double tying the big guy.
yeah, okay, that's fine. I was going to say, as long as you're sort of double tying it, I think it should be fine.
Are we
yep.
also tying up Bayleaf and the other two?
I at least motion to them to hand over their weapons now.
That's sensible.
And Bayleaf says, well, and he kind of I'm a little disturbed at the prospect of giving up everything that we have for our own defense. With no offense meant, it seems like some of you were more bloodthirsty than others, as your own people pointed out, and he kind of nods in Green's direction. Why, it seems like you were more than willing to kill many of our number before this one stopped you.
They were armed.
Well, so you only kill those with arms, then, you mean?
Well, it was self-defense.
He sort of nods slowly, and the guards look extremely uncomfortable. He says, well, what guarantees do we have that you won't simply put us to death or turn us over to the authorities if we hand over our weapons?
I gesture at the general situation.
He looks around. He says, well, I see several of you exhausted, tired, perhaps injured, and the three of us hungry, but more or less healthy. I wouldn't say that that's an overwhelming odds in your favor.
You're a mercenary, correct?
He nods. Proudly so. Puts his foot up on a rock, like Captain Morgan, you know.
What's your going daily rate?
Ah, well, and he sort of he looks at you and he like starts doing some calculations in his head. You can tell, and he's like,
Mates
Well-
rates. We did save you.
He says, "Well, let me see." And he whispers to his companions behind him, and they kind of whisper back. He says, "Well, let's say my men and I were to receive here." He thinks about it. 10 gold pieces a day, but we'll handle our own food and supplies and provisions, and we'll be at your side to battle anything you find. You'll note that a mercenary is only as good as the contract that he honors. So, I will honor the contract, and you will find that it is well worth your while. I am one of the better mercenaries you'll find in the Azure Sea.
How many
I
days
would
have
like
we
to-
got left?
I would like to speak to Northwell, Silvo, Waves, and Green without them speaking. So I want to say, stay there.
Good
I'll
Certainly,
consider
certainly.
your offer.
Certainly.
I just want to kind of whisper point out to the others, I don't trust this guy. First off, he doesn't keep to his word as a mercenary. He just turned on the people he was working for. Also, he's not as destitute as he makes out. And if he wants to come with us, I think we need to be aware that he also knew that they were creating an army of skeletons here. Do we really want to release someone like that?
He was just getting
Well,
paid.
But he was
I-
getting paid, and then
everyone-
he betrayed the people that were paying him.
Well, they
Let's
were
be
bastards,
honest.
though.
All we have to worry about now is getting them onto the boat and away from the island. Then we can rest up, get our spells and our health back on the way back to Saltmarsh. And then when we get to the shore, we can make a decision about what we're going to do with them.
He's also right. I don't think we could take a round two with who's still standing, to be honest.
And I don't like the idea of them being armed on our boat.
Hard to argue against that.
Let's go and have a look around the Abbey and see if we can find this secret underground place
Yeah.
where Osmodius was researching and see if we can really find out what was going on here. But Bayleaf, although he made the right decision, doesn't mean I trust him. It was the best out of two bad situations as far as he's concerned.
That's probably true. He does see a ticket out of here. But I would feel better if we have more first-hand information about what was going on here that we can go back with. Because, again, we don't even know who's telling us the truth back in Saltmarsh.
No,
We need to know
agreed.
ourselves. We don't need to know what they're telling us.
Let's
Alright
play
then.
along for now, and then, but I'm reluctant to let them on our boat with their weapons.
All right, we'll play along and decide what we do once we get to the boat. Green, in this time, has been writing a note for Osmandius. That's just basically like, you've been very naughty, and you really need to rethink your life now. Your life has been saved by the grace of Eldath, the mother, and you should really think about that when you're in prison and how you can lead a more peaceful and fulfilling internal life. And then I fold it up and put it in his jacket pocket. Okay, I'm ready to go into the Abbey.
Okay.
Right.
Right,
let's-
of a calling card. Your life has been saved by Green and Eldath.
I went to the Abbey and all I got was this lousy t-shirt.
Well, lousy resurrection.
Exactly. Okay, so you folks are going to the Abbey. Who are you bringing, and who, whether unconscious or conscious, are you bringing with you, and who not?
Well, I'm definitely bringing myself since we're apparently looking for secrets within the stones.
We could leave Silvo with the two
With the two
tied up
unconscious
guys.
ones.
Yeah, but maybe we take them like at least into the first big room, so if he shouts for help or something, we can hear him.
Yeah, that sounds prudent. I've
Yeah,
still got
how-
Mr. Whippy.
How far does Silvo's telepathy go?
The line of sight.
Let me see telepathic speech. I'm pressing the small button. There it is.
Yeah,
30
someone you
feet.
can see
See.
within 30
Oh,
feet.
wait. I'm wrong. Sorry. Within a number of miles of each other equal to your charisma modifier.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think that's just one person at a time, though. Just be aware. So,
I mean, he only needs to warn one of us if we're
Oh.
the rest of us together.
Yeah, I think line of sight's just for like, placing the call, and then once the call's been answered, it's a party line then.
right.
Yeah, but it's only for 5 minutes.
It'll be fine.
Plus, also it says when incapacitated, which that's one of Silver's specialties is getting incapacitated.
Yeah.
He's not here. I can say what I like.
How about I stay here with Silvo? I can shout very loud.
If you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, I need to write a second note. Look sideways at Silvo.
And Bayleaf says, from everything that I've understood, there was some dangerous things down in that part of the Abbey. I don't know what experiments he had, but, I don't know who you're bringing with you, but if you were to bring someone with a little bit of healing power or something like that, it might be useful. Of course, we'll be happy to accompany you, that is, assuming that we're able to keep these weapons that you were threatening to disarm us of just a few minutes ago.
It's going to take me about 8 hours to retool some of my gadgets for healing, so I don't think that's practical.
Well, why don't
I'm all out of healing.
we could rest before going and having a look in the Abbey.
We could.
What
It would
time
be-
of day is it?
I believe when you came up last time, it was around midday, I want to say. Hey, Genly, I believe is what it was. So, probably 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
I mean, I think most of us could do with a rest, Bayleaf and company included, even though I know they'd be anxious to put this island behind them. But they'd be even less likely to do that if we all get caught out by something down there.
I
mean-
take out some of my rations and hand them over to Bayleaf as a goodwill offering.
Well, thank
I'll dump
you.
out some jerky from the bag of holding.
Thank you. I'm grateful, of course. Now, I'm trying to remember if you all did are we thinking a short rest or a long rest? I was trying to remember if you did a long rest within the last 24 hours, because you really can only benefit from one long rest within 24 hours.
I don't think we've long rested within 24 hours, but I could be wrong because
we came on the ship and we haven't had a long rest since
That's what I
we
thought.
arrived at the island.
Okay.
We did
so
a
you-
short rest after coming out of the dunes.
That's right. So you could still do a long rest if you wish, or a short rest. The only issue with a long rest is just the length of time. That's all. But
I'm voting a long rest. I can retool some of my gadgets for a bit of a basement dive.
Yeah, I'm up for a long rest. I would like to double check, especially with my nautical rope tying skills, the binds of Asmodeus and Ogmund are unbreakable.
okay.
Maybe we should go inside the abbey as well. Maybe not being out in the open for a long period of time up here is a good idea. I mean, the sand dunes were full of skeletons. We don't know what else might come out to play.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
All right, so you're going back to the Abbey, if I understand that correctly. All right, so let me take these ones, and I shall take all of you as well to the inside of the Abbey. Okay, so bring this down here. Okay, so we have got Bayleaf, we've got Ozymandias, who I will put as still unconscious. Oops, wrong one. He is unconscious. And let's see, Ogmund is also unconscious. Okay. These ones, that one is not there. That one is not there. These two are here. Okay, so here's Bayleaf and the two that are with him. And Green, you were just off the map. There you are. Now I put you back. So now...
And the well-polished steps.
Yes, indeed. That's right. Okay. So are you? So you're going to leave. So you're leaving Silvo and Green, or just Silvo in this big room?
I think we're going to long rest in the room.
Yeah.
Okay. Long rest first. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
In cover.
Okay. Yeah. That's fair enough. All right. So let's do the long rest then. So
I'll toss 10 gold coins to the bandit man.
And he sort of says, "Well, thank you. I am grateful for your largesse, and we will make sure that we do not forget it. I will accept this as a down payment on future services." So during your long rest, all of you are going to get your hit points back. So you're all back up to full with your hit points. And you also restore spent hit dice up to a number of dice equal to half of your total number. So since you have the 5 hit dice, you would be able to use, I believe it is 2. So if you've used any of those hit dice, you can get half of that number back. So you could get another, you can basically get a hit die back if you have room for one. And you also get all spell slots back as well.
Yeah, all good.
Okay. Okay, so having done that, what then are we looking at after you wake from this long rest? So now it would be about 7 o'clock in the evening, something like that, probably. But of course you're indoors, so.
Have our friends woken up?
Yes. So Ozymandias.
We knock them back out again.
They wake up, concussion. Is this the Batman thing, Bruce, where as long as you're not, killing them, it's okay how many concussions you give them? Like, sure, that's fine. That won't have any effect on them. You could knock them out again if you want. It's up to you.
Does Ozymandias seem to be a follower of Eldath now? Not yet.
Probably
Roll for
not.
conversion.
Yeah, I was going to say.
While Ozymandias is still unconscious, I would like to check his pockets, like for hidden weapons or, I don't know, evil statues or whatever cultists carry around with themselves.
On Ozymandias, what you find is he has, for the most part, not a whole lot upon him. I'm trying to make sure I know what weapons he has, so bear with me for just a second. But he does have one important thing, regardless of whether I find what weapons he has. So give me just a second while I get to that section.
Is it a map? It's a map.
It is not a map.
Scroll labeled "My Evil Plan."
That would be also very nice. Or my contact list or something like that.
My contact list. Okay. Let's see. So we go up here. There we go. Right. So he has got, he is carrying a simple mace. You don't think it's anything special in particular. He does not have any gold on him, Waves, but he does have around his neck a golden medallion. It is a golden disc, and it is inscribed with these complex geometric designs, and you can see that it is around his neck.
Don't lick it.
I look quite confused. I show this medal to Green, like,
Can Can I do a religion check?
Can do that if you like.
Thank you.
Because I'm next to Green, can I have a look at it as
Never
well?
mind.
Sure.
Wait, what is religion?
You get 6. Yeah, you're like you're pretty confident this is a medallion, Green. You think you've seen medallions before.
I just hand it back and say even more solemnly, "Don't lick it."
But you can also try to do a religion check or something similar if you like, Brian.
Okay, religion, yeah?
Mm-hmm. If that's what you're, I mean, assuming that's what you're looking at it for, is to like.
Yeah, I know, because I also had a vision in the orb, and saw. In fact, I think because I rolled a nat 20 on that, I think I saw more information than Morthwell, so I know it was a cult-like situation.
Mm-hmm.
I got a 4. I know nothing.
You're like, are you sure this is a medallion? Because I don't really, I'm not 100%. Yeah. You don't know. It looks, I mean, I can say that, again, golden disc, there are these weird geometric designs on it. But it is not, it's not particularly large, but it is the only major thing that he carries on his person besides the mace.
I would like to give us an Arcana check with Silvo.
Okay.
11.
You don't know that it has any magical qualities. It might, but it's not clear to you that it has anything in particular that sort of stands out as like, oh, this is the medallion of such and so. You don't know if that is the case, but it is important, you think, that it's the only item that he has on him besides the mace.
Doesn't Silvo have proficiency in Arcana?
No. No, he hasn't.
Oh,
He doesn't
okay.
know what he doesn't know what he's doing, remember?
Yeah.
That makes more sense
Who
now.
built this
he's an-
character?
He's an aberrant mind, remember, Warlock, which means that, it's a little bit like secrets man was not meant to know type of thing.
Well, still I'm
does
gonna take it from Osmandius because maybe it's something to call for help. No, he wouldn't have done that already. Still, I don't trust the guy with anything, so I'll take it.
Okay. Are you putting it on Waves or giving it to someone else to put on, or are you just tossing it in a bag somewhere?
No, I'm just putting it in my pocket.
Okay.
If nobody says anything against it, I don't try. I will not put on a magic amulet on my neck.
You got any idea what that is?
Because I've played Barony. You never know.
Osmandius
I show it to Morthwell as well if he wants to see it.
Both of us will break out some lenses and have a Arcana look at that. Because he is actually proficient.
No.
Come on. 17.
And this was an Arcana check?
Yeah.
You suspect, Morthwell, that you don't know whether or not this is magical, but you're pretty confident it's unique. In fact, you've seen several other similar kind of scribblings or symbols here and there on some of the stones of this abbey, like little markings and stuff like that. You don't know that it has any particular magical properties, but you do know that it is on some level, you think it's unique.
I think it's non-magical, but the symbols seem very, very similar. And I start pointing at just like random things, going like, some of these here, the stylings, seem very, very similar. Not an exact match, but maybe something related to them, something unique. Maybe a signifier of rank, perhaps? I don't know.
Green is looking around with his 6 religion check and going, I don't think those other symbols look like medallions at all.
Oh, you would be absolutely correct on that.
Shall we open a door?
Carefully, I think.
And Bayleaf says, well, I can, of course, lead you to the place that he used to go off into his little secret lair, whatever it was. Beyond that, of course, I've never been allowed there, so I don't know anything about what is occupied in that space. Just making sure you're clear on that.
That's fair, and I do feel you would have pilfered anything worth a damn in the places you could have gotten to. No offense.
None taken.
Sil-
Certainly I would have done that if I could have gotten a better return on investment.
Are
Respectfully
there
honest.
any other soldiers? Sorry.
Okay.
Silvo says, maybe you could show us the other rooms first, just so we know how many of you there are here.
I was just going to ask, are there any other soldiers down here that we don't know about?
He says, soldiers? No. There are a couple, and he sort of is talking about, he sort of like looks a little bit. There's one called, Odium. He is, he's sort of you met him once. He's kind of a nervous fellow, I suppose. He lives up here, and he points out this part, basically this door. He says, otherwise, everyone else that you've encountered, you've successfully eliminated. The ones up here were various rooms and things like that we actually lived in. There's a not very good kitchen with not very much food and so forth. But, and he says, the real issue here is this thing that he used to go down. And I only happen to know it because there was one time when I was following to ask him a question, if you might say, and then discovered that he, went into a room and didn't come out. When I went in, I noticed he had vanished. Obviously, if he could have teleported somewhere, he wouldn't have stayed here. So that means that there must be something further down below where he actually is. But I can lead you to where I saw him, and then he, in quotes, disappeared.
Maybe we should go and speak to Odium first. He was obviously very scared of something. Maybe he knows more than he was allowed to say before.
And Bayleaf shrugs.
I could investigate the room where he disappears while you're doing that.
Up to you. What do you want to do?
Let's go and investigate the room, and then maybe we'll go and have a chat with Odium then.
Okay.
Okay. So Bayleaf leads you to this room. And as you sort of just open the doors of the room, you see that it looks like what seems like a kind of meditation chamber or room. It has been cleared of debris, and the walls are heavily curtained with draperies of thick black velvet. And the wall over to... Let me just make sure I know where the compass rose is going. Hold on a second. I think north is up. Like all should be. Yes, thank God, north is up. All right. I was getting just very annoying when that doesn't happen. So let's see. There, this wall over here. Oops, sorry. This wall here is decorated with a horrible mural depicting a red dragon devouring sheep. Near the west wall over here, there is a stone table on which a large iron brazier sits. It's currently out, and you can see some ash and soot kind of in it as if it has been used in the past, but not now. But you do notice that the table on which it's sitting has many odd discolorations and scorch marks. And behind the brazier on the table is a half-melted statue and two badly damaged candlesticks that is sitting on the table behind the brazier. And so...
Does the rest of this room look burnt like it had been affected by the pirate fire?
A little bit, yes. It looks like it was somewhat scorched. Although, what is your passive perception score, Brian?
Let me have a look 1 second. Passive perception 12. Oh,
Okay.
no, that's wisdom. No, yeah, that is perception. Passive.
Is through passive
Wisdom
perception is
perception.
12?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I would say about this thing is that the scorch marks do look like this room also was affected, but there's something odd about the scorch marks, and you can't quite make out put your finger on what. but something doesn't seem quite like the other scorch marks that you've seen elsewhere in the Abbey. But it certainly does look for all the world as if this place was burned too.
I mean, are we all in this room?
That's up to you. I would assume so. Bayleaf
Except
and the
for
guards
Sil-
are sitting here. This is where he led you.
Except for Silver, who is with the
Oh, right, yeah.
the people.
Mhm.
Just smacking it on the head with a stick every half an hour or so.
I'm...
Whilst walking around the room, then I'm going to talk to Morthwheel and Green and Waves. Does something not seem quite right about these scorched marks?
I stare at the scorch marks.
Starts getting his brush, cleaning the scorch marks.
No. Not
What-
yet. Maybe
what
later.
What is your what's your passive perception, Waves?
16.
Okay. You notice as you're looking at the table over here, in the scorch marks, you notice that there are also what look like marks on the floor, Waves. And when you look closer, you can see that they are not actually marks. They look like abrasions, basically. Abrasions on the stone floor itself in the southwest corner.
Awesome. I point at it and make a screeching noise for something scraping over the floor.
Can I pull back the curtain on that wall?
You can, and you see that the abrasions literally lead to the wall and then disappear under it somehow.
Okay, I'm gonna point this out to everyone, but I also want to pull back the curtain on all four walls and check the walls and floor and things for anything that looks like it's been disturbed, especially if there's any soot that's been disturbed on it.
Okay, make an investigation check for me, please.
Is there a medallion-shaped gap in the wall that we can Indiana Jones?
There is not, sadly. I was just thinking about Indiana Jones there.
15.
15. When you were looking down at it, you actually see what looks like a small sort of portion of the stone that is lighter than the rest of the stone beneath it on the floor and right next to the wall. So it's probably about a foot or so, and it's definitely a different coloration. And when you look, it looks like it's actually separate, that stone. It's flat, it's flush with the floor, but it's separate from the stone around it.
I'm going to point this out to everyone, especially Morthwheel. Does that look like a trap, or does that look like a way in?
Morthwell's going to take a closer look at that. Okay. Do I see it? I guess it's just been pointed out to me. It definitely stands out. Now, as for what it is, what it does, I can have a closer look, or we can just get out a pole and give it a good old poke from a safe distance.
I say we poke.
Okay. Out the bag of holding. Giant stick. Everybody stand back.
Okay. So you're poking down on the square?
Yeah, like, poke.
When you do this, you push it, and you hear this as this door slides open along the stone floor to reveal
Classic.
a passageway beyond. Now, question about lighting, because it is dark down here. So I know some of you have dark vision, some of you do not. So I want to make sure I know how we're going to handle light sources down here. But there is a hallway that is lit by the light from here, but it's dim, and then obviously disappears. Looks like it's maybe a larger room down here, but you can't see it at the moment.
I do have the goggles of the night I could lend to someone if we want to preserve the darkness. But that only
I
cover a
wouldn't mind
second.
some goggles because I don't have light vision, but I can. Because with the goggles, we can see even further than someone with night vision. Is that correct?
They'll give you dark vision up to 60 feet. If you already have dark vision, you get 120 feet.
Well, in which case, I would very much like to borrow them if that's okay.
Be my guest.
Well, I take out a hooded lantern.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have dark vision or anything, so
Yeah,
you know,
me neither.
happy to just hold on to the person in front of me so I can't see all the dirt.
I got a signal flare.
Well, if you use the hooded lantern, that will actually light the way for everybody. It will ruin the dark vision, but then everybody gets to see.
Well,
Just be aware, are you attaching the hooded lantern like to your belt waves? Or are you going to hold it in one hand? Like, just be aware that you have it held somehow, as well.
I offer it to Green.
Green will hold it.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
In which case, I'm going to give the goggles back to Morthwill because I don't need them.
Oh, well. Thank you kindly. It was a good thought.
I did give them a little clean on my shirt, though, before I gave them back.
Thank you for respecting the property.
Okay. So, you're headed down into this room.
I would like to check for traps as we're going.
Okay.
This is potentially an evil inner sanctum.
Okay. Go ahead
And
and
I
make
just
an
want to be on
investigation.
guard and just like
Invest.
listening out for any noise or anything.
Okay.
12.
Perfectly safe.
Yeah, it seems fine to me. I think
Can I
that thing was the
cast-
only hidden stone.
Can I cast Detect Evil and Good, please?
Sure.
I don't think there's a roll, I just cast it, right?
That's right. We need to remember the range on. Just looking it up
30
quickly.
feet.
Within 30 feet of you. Okay, I'm just looking at the
Can penetrate most barriers, but is blocked by 1 foot of stone, 1 inch of common metal, a thin sheet of lead, or 3 feet of wood or dirt.
Okay, and it's 30 feet. I should mention, by the way, to everybody, these are 10-foot squares. Be aware of that.
Oh, okay. Can I come down to the bottom here then and then do it?
Yes, and in fact, when you do that, so this is very funny. So you cast it, you come down and you're like, all right, I'm casting it. You cast it. You immediately get the sense that there are indeed some undead near you. And you
Right in
sort of
front
turn
of me.
around to explain that as everyone comes to the corner and sees the exact same thing. There is an unfurnished and undecorated 30-foot square chamber in here. And, wait, that's not right. 10, 20, 30, 5 foot, 10, 15, that's right. Standing next to one another in the room are 2 enormous skeletal guardians. They look almost like minotaur skeletons. Their heads feature prominent horns, and each wields a massive rusted axe. And one standing behind them is this strange hooded figure, and 2 floating purple ghostly figures behind them.
Waves! Waves, get that medallion up here now!
I take the medallion out and I say in Osmandius' voice, when he introduced himself, I'm Osmandius.
Okay, they don't say anything or do anything. They're just standing there.
Okay.
But you also haven't entered the room. You're there with the medallion.
I very, very carefully take a step into the room with the medallion in one hand and the other hand on my rapier.
All 5 of the creatures,
Oh, no.
the 2 ones, swivel
Oh, no.
whoosh, to face you.
I
don't-
again
they-
say with Osmandius' voice, I'm Osmandius. Maybe they don't have eyes. You never know. It could work.
They don't do anything, but they also don't attack. They just face you, clearly you.
Good job. You are doing really well.
Okay, I take a step to the side to see what they do.
Their heads
this-
just follow you, but they don't.
Slide to the left. Slide to the right.
It's just a step to the left. Just jump to the left.
Everybody clap your hands.
Let's do the evil Abbey again. So yeah,
I
so
just-
they're following, they're tracking you, but they're not. Again, they're just facing you. They're not taking no aggressive action at all.
Okay, I say, the voice is somebody ordering the dog, sit.
So this one steps over, and
Oh,
then
no.
they all sit down on the ground. Well, I mean, the floating ones don't. The floating ones kind of like don't really, they just float. But the hooded creature and these two, and you hear it like this terrible like cracking and creaking as their bones kind of like as they try to sit down.
Okay, I look back at my companions, very obviously proud of myself.
Yeah, you really did learn from Ozymandias.
Oh.
You're doing so well.
Okay.
Now what do we do?
I don't know. Should we follow or stay here?
It's moved away from the door.
Green would like to just like with the end of his sweeping brush, while he's got the lantern in one hand, and like his sweeping brush, just touch the floor lightly, maybe brush some dust.
Okay, nothing happens.
He'd like
Okay.
to clean the floor a little bit more before then putting his toe on the floor.
The minute you put your toe on the floor, nothing happens.
He's gonna step fully on the floor.
Yeah, they just sit there. They're still staring at waves.
All right, well, Green's taking the plunge. I'm going to follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing
I'm doing
happens.
the
They're still
same.
staring at waves. You can see, by the way, these minotaur skeletons probably 7.5 feet tall if they were standing. Their rusted axe is like the size of waves.
Yeah, great.
They're just sort of staring
Okay.
at waves.
Yeah, move that way a little bit. Clear the corridor. All right. Everyone
also
form a
very
conga
slowly-
line.
I very slowly move towards the door just to see if they are okay with that.
So their heads swivel towards you, but they don't move.
Oh, open the door. Just take a look.
It'll be fine. I'm sure. They like you. See?
I'm gonna let me check the
If
door
you go-
first.
If you go out of the room with that medallion, they might attack
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So
Just
Yeah,
open and look through.
No, I'm looking at the door first.
Investigation
What
check,
do we
please.
have here?
Well, unless you're... All right, I shouldn't have said that without... Are you like checking it to see if there are traps? You're just looking at it because it looks like a
first-
normal, essentially wooden door. And by the way,
that-
does not look that old. This doesn't look like an ancient crypt or something like that. In fact, some of the rough walls, Morthwill, this may have been dug down here, these tunnels, not that long ago. I mean, not within the last few months, but this doesn't look like construction from centuries ago or anything.
I know this is probably a really bad time to be bringing this up, but this seems newer than the other part.
does it seem burnt?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna continue going towards the door.
Okay. You pass
now that I know that
by the
the-
staring minotaur skeleton, Brian, like right in front of it, and it's just like staring through you at waves.
Now that I know it's like a normal door, I'll like to investigate whether it's like, well, considering my intelligence, whether it's obviously trapped or something like that.
Okay, let's have make an investigation check. Yeah, it doesn't seem burned yet. Exactly, imaginary, right?
It's still young.
It's not. Wait. Normal roll. Submit. 14. There we go.
Perfectly safe. It looks like just a normal door. You don't notice anything unusual about it.
Okay. Okay. So, I'll try with the medallion in one hand in front of me. I'll try to like with the other hand move the handle of the door
To open
to
it. Okay.
open it.
Okay. So you do. And from the hooded lantern, now Green is carrying the hooded lantern, so you don't have a lot of light yet until Green comes up behind. Yeah, that's a little bit more. You can see a passageway that extends off into the distance a bit, a good, like, let's say 35, 40 feet almost. And it looks like there is a passageway up here and a passageway down here.
I say in Morthwill's voice what he said earlier. Let's take out the long pole.
Okay. So I'm reacting to Green having moved in slightly.
Green's got detect good and evil going still, right?
Yes. And it's going off like gangbusters. Green, behind you, there are like 5 super undead creatures. Like, oh my God. It's like you left the refrigerator door open. Beep, 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 beep.
When I
Like
peek
the
around
worst case of
this
tinnitus.
south corner.
Okay.
I'm not waiting to be behind the medallion.
What's your passive perception again?
Oh, it's
Green?
16.
When you look around the corner, you notice right here there is
No?
a thin but noticeable wire that is stretched along the bottom of the corridor. And as your
no.
sort of look goes up, you see a large, probably 8 foot by 8 foot stone block above that's like suspended from the ceiling above it.
It's a total flattener.
Wait, there's a trap. Does anyone
I-
know how to disarm traps?
I'll close the door.
That's my more pressing concern,
Okay.
but yes.
You close the door. Immediately you hear a roar. No, you don't hear anything. You just close the door.
Silvo!
Just kidding. No, okay, you do.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I accidentally moved Brian. Meant to do
We
this.
I'll now stare
turn around so Mudfoil's in the front.
I guess we'll do a shuffle here, shall we? Right, well.
I need to be there, I think.
Clumped up, perfect for an AoE. Stalio, I don't know why you would. I mean, look.
It's not like there's an 8-foot block that could definitely land on us all or anything.
No, I mean,
Well, get me tools here and I can pull out my thieves' tools and have a go at disarming.
okay. Let's do it then. Please make your thieves tool check. I think you can just click on it to roll thieves tools. Otherwise, it would be a dex check. But you're using your thieves tools, which I think would give you proficiency, I believe.
And can I touch him to give him some guidance?
Sure, you can.
Yep.
Might be a good idea.
I'll take that D4. 10.
I'm very glad that you made the that you had the guidance going on. So let's see. Okay, where are you? Oh, you're right there on the edge of it. Okay, so you hear this. You're like working with it, and then you hear this click, and the stone block above you falls about maybe 2 feet and then stops askew, and you realize that you have just managed to disarm it, but as you look over you can see that like the wire is basically bunched up and holding against one of the walls. So more or less it's like if you were to like break a piano string and it was like sproing, right, and then it's all stuck, somehow that has gotten stuck, which is why the block has not fallen all the way to the ground, but it's now like listing like this. The wire's out of the way though.
Probably a good time to mention I'm not actually proficient with thieves' tools, I just have them. Well, we haven't hit level 6 yet, otherwise I probably would have got the bonus. But
That's true.
all right. Well,
And I can't level you yet, by the way, until you leave the Abbey Isle. You're not quite leveled yet.
Good work.
It'll do. Okay, so where there's one, there's bound to be more. So tread lightly.
Okay, I can now show you up here. So there's this.
Did Green just like go under the rock?
Seems like it.
Oh no!
Seems like that's what just happened.
I mean, we got rid of the wire.
It looks pretty bunched up in there.
Okay. Green.
Oh, crazy.
Green, right about here. I would like you to make something seems a little odd to you. I'd like you to make a perception check for me, please. In case anyone's curious, Green's getting this because of the passive perception that they have.
20. I'm rolling rubbish today.
Yeah, there's something weird about this area, this sort of like this spot, but you can't tell quite what. But it just seems like it's not quite blended in color-wise with everything around it.
Well, Green has the
Malfoy,
lantern.
does that look weird to you there?
I can have a look. I'm not the most perceptive dwarf, though.
Oh, who's the most perceptive dwarf?
I'm definitely the most perceptive dwarf in this corridor.
Waves, are you the most perceptive dwarf?
I'm not. I'm absolutely
Could
the most
you come and
perceptive
have a look, please?
one. Okay, with the
Go ahead and make a perception
passive
check.
perception
Waves.
of 16.
An amazing perceptive dwarf, Waves is.
But I mean, like with
The
I've
passive
got a
perception
passive-
is what allows you to know that there's something off, but you need to make the active one to see what's...
Okay. Perception. There it is. Sight. 14?
Okay. Yeah, you think right here that this area right around here is made of a kind of different substance, maybe. Like it's clearly matches the color more or less, but you think while the rest of this is stone, this area, and I'm going to freehand it, although probably not super well, but this area here
Is quicksand.
that's not terrible actually. That looks wooden maybe to you, or of a different sort of substance, and that not just that area, but all of this stuff in here, colored in.
I really thought I would meet quicksand more often in my adult life.
I mean, I can make it
Listening to-
quicksand if you want.
Listening to Green and Waves talking, is it possible to have a look myself?
Sure.
Okay, I point towards that thing and say,
It's cursed.
It is made of pure evil. There's no heart on this, okay? Just to be clear, all of my amateur artists in there. It's a terrifying. Okay.
It's dangerous.
Yes, you're pretty confident, Brian, that what you're looking at is something that maybe is wooden, but it's been painted to match the gray of the stone.
That definitely looks wooden, but it's really well camouflaged. Can I get a really close look and point it out to Morthwill and kind of draw around the edge of it and say, yeah, I don't think we should be standing on this bit. That looks like, I mean, I don't want to say a trapdoor, but it looks like a trapdoor.
I guess I could investigate to see if there's a mechanism I can see that might trigger it.
Okay, go ahead and make an investigation check for me, please.
Okie dokie.
It's an imperfectly shifted mimic. These are great ideas.
Aye.
No, I mean, you can definitely confirm it is definitely a wooden trap door of some kind, or a wooden like cover of some kind, but you don't see any mechanism.
Is there space that we could like get past the edge
Yes,
of it? Or
if
does
you
it
were to
go-
just hug the edge, yes. The part that I drew there gives you about maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet, maybe 1.5 feet of clearance. So you have to squeeze, but yes.
Could I cast Create Water just to see if I can kind of put some water on and see if it goes down the gaps?
Sure. Can you tell me how much? Yes. And in fact, when you do that, how much water, when you create water,
I
it's like
don't
a
know.
5
Let me
foot,
look.
right? I want to know like how much, like it's ye old manhole cover. I'm sure that's what it is, Delia.
It is a range or area of 30 foot. You can create up to 10 gallons of clean water within range in an open container. Alternatively, the water falls as rain in a 30-foot cube within range.
Okay, that's fine. So yes, as it falls on this, you can definitely see that it sort of drains and drips into what looks like kind of around the edge of that area that I've colored in. So there's like there's a small, almost unnoticeable gap between the wooden and the wood area and the stone around it.
Do we want to continue on this way around the trap or try a different avenue?
It might be worth seeing if there's a less suspicious route. If not, if everything looks worse, then we at least know that something's up with this one.
Would the most suspicious, well-protected route not lead to what they want to keep guarded?
It might. We'd have to check the
Most
other routes to
likely.
see. We've only looked down this corridor. There's those other two behind us.
All right then. Can I look down here?
Yes, when you look down there, you see passageway, and there are branches here to the north and the south.
Are there any more wires?
Not that you see automatically, but you can make perception checks if you like, but you don't obviously see one on the ground.
Okay, perception.
Oh,
Nat 20!
nice. Completely
Yay.
wireframe. Yeah, listen, if there are any wires there, they are in another plane. You do not see any wires here at all.
Excellent. Can I hold the lantern out and look down again.
Sure, if you're just like
southwards.
leading around the corner. Here, you can see what looks like, so 2 directions here. First of all, the passageway extends up here to the north. And to the south, you can see 2 doors here. And I should say, yeah, that's what you're able to see from your vantage point.
Is the floor sloped?
No, it does not look to be. It looks to be flat.
Okay, because this
And
is
level.
prime boulder coming down the corridor looking...
Yeah. You do hear ba-ba-ba-ba-boo-ba-doo somewhere in the distance.
With the lantern being held by Green, obviously not in the section that I've just covered in water, but are there any like footprints in the dust or anything on the floor? Is there any sign of movement through these corridors?
Is that okay? And I was going to say behind you where you would put the water or up in front of you. You said where Green's holding the lantern?
Green's holding the lantern, and I would very much think that any dust would have been washed away by the water I've just dumped over the trap. So,
Well, behind you it would, but not necessarily in front. That's why I was asking if you were looking back
Yeah.
here.
No, in front, where Green is and holding the lantern.
Okay. Yeah, because the water wouldn't have reached this far. You could create it again if you want, but the water that you created is down in this area. So all of which is to say, go ahead and make a, have you make a perception check here.
Okay. 15.
Yeah, you think that there might have been steps, like tracks, but they're confused. And you definitely think there has been foot traffic through these hallways, but it's hard to tell what it was, like humanoid, not humanoid, or whatever, and also what direction they were going. It's just that this corridor definitely has a good amount of foot traffic through it.
Okay. Well, it's definitely been used. I can't tell how recently.
Are there any blood stains?
Not that you're
That's a
able to see.
giveaway usually.
Yeah.
I would like to take a moment and like put the medallion somewhere on my chest so I get the hand free, but I don't want to put it around my neck because I don't trust the thing. So maybe I can put the wire or whatever it is attached to around one of my buckles or something.
Okay,
so that
you could do that. Hanging from a
that
buckle.
it's still
basically.
visible for everybody who sees me, but so that I get my hand free again.
Okay. You can do that.
Okay. We could just check
Can-
the other corridor first.
Okay, yeah. Go up here and
Okay.
It
I go with
explodes.
green. I go with green because I think I have the highest passive perception.
Okay. What your past
And I'm
perception?
just
16,
staring
right?
at everything like.
Yeah, it's like staring
16,
right
yes.
at 16. Okay.
Waves and Green seem to be spotting stuff that, well, even an eagle would miss.
Okay.
I'm staring
I make an
behind
eagle
Green
noise.
because I don't have a lantern on.
Okay. All right. So this is what you're able to see right there. There obviously the passageway turns west, let's say. And if you come to the corner and just look around, you can see that there is a door in the western wall of this corridor as well.
is it trapped in some way?
You're too far to be able to tell that from here.
I really wish we had like detect traps.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really evil traps around, maybe.
You definitely have I mentioned, by the way, that these things.
Don't.
So Green, when you get to that section, you're
Yeah.
walking along and you're like, definitely I wouldn't have noticed. And then you notice, Wile E. Coyote style, that
no.
there is nothing underneath you. Green vanishes, but what you see is Green walks over what looks like a normal stone-colored piece. There's not wood or anything, just vanishes. And all you see again is the stone. Meanwhile, Green, you plummet into liquid.
And I've got the torch as well.
And you have the, yes, you do. So the light vanishes along with Green. And you plummet into this lake. Now, the good news is you don't take damage when you hit the water because it's liquid. The bad news is it's not water. When you hit the pool, all of you above hear a psst. You have landed in a pool of acid, Green. And if you're just going to give me a minute, I just have to roll a few dice. Don't panic or anything. Let's see.
I'll just stand there frozen because I can't see anything anymore.
Yep. Green, you take 34 points of acid damage as you plunge into this liquid.
Okay, that's bad.
Model's gonna run up to there. There's dark vision.
Save me! I have 4 hit points left.
Oh no! So he's gonna put his hand down to the flagstone and see what happens.
Your hand goes right through it.
Okay.
You are, and Green, probably the lantern, because it's a hooded lantern. Actually, no, I don't know. It probably just disintegrates / so I think it's dark, so I don't think Greens can see it. But you can see, Morthwheel, actually. Now that the light goes out, you see that Green is fairly rapidly disintegrating in what looks like a pool of slime at the bottom.
How far down is it?
The pit is about 10 feet deep.
Okay. In that case, I am going to throw out a device. And Green is going to be surrounded in a bubble and levitated 20 feet in the air.
Ooh, okay. So that's good. So there's
What the hell?
So the bubble. What the hell is this? When did you get this? I mean, that's awesome.
I got levitate on my spell sheet, and I have had it prepared since we arrived on this island.
Can you levitate somebody else? I just want to make sure that's not a self-levitate. I think you can, but I just want to make sure.
One creature or object of choice that I can see within 60 feet can be levitated 20 feet.
So you see Green's disintegrating, but this burned whatever face and shell and everything emerging above halfway, and you can see clearly the cover of this pit is illusory. And even when Green is halfway up, it looks like they're just halfway up and they're just surrounded by pit cover, basically, as they come up. And you can see the acid sort of dripping off you. You won't take any additional damage, though, Green, since you're now out of the acid.
Thank you. By the way, there's a hole in the floor. It doesn't look like there's a hole in the floor, but there is.
Oh, yeah. Gave me a scare there. I mean, well, you've looked better. No offense.
I still can't see anything, so I'm standing stock
Don't
still.
move.
What's happening?
At least one of these is a fake floor. I think Green fell in some kind of dissolvey stuff.
Triffid wanted to know if a turtle loses a shell to an acid bath, do they become a lizard man? I mean, too soon. Too soon, Triffid.
Well, the good news is you can float like this for about 10 more minutes.
I'd like to do that, please. I've never felt more at peace. It's so clean in here. There's no floor, no ceiling, no cobwebs.
The downside is you can only move by pushing or pulling on objects.
I don't need to move.
As acid drips from his body.
At least not for 9 minutes or so, anyway.
Can I
Maybe
cast
not be
Cure
over the
Wounds
hole,
on
then.
myself?
What? Sorry, say again. Green, what was that? Can I cast what?
Can I cast Cure Wounds on myself?
You certainly can.
Right, I'll do it as a big
go
level
ahead.
spell slot.
Okay.
I was going to say, if you're just floating there and can only move by pushing or pulling, maybe push so you're not over the hole.
Oh yeah. I'd like to push so I'm not over the hole, please.
What direction?
South to
Okay.
back to the group.
Okay, so you're able to get clear of where the illusory area seems to be.
You can also
Yeah.
change height as part of your move as well.
Ooh, 26.
26.
There you go. See, Hale and Hardy. I am afraid, though, that your lantern is now destroyed.
me. Do I still have the remnants of
Yes,
it?
yes, you definitely have that.
Oh! I cast mending on it.
Whoa. How much can you? I mean,
Good
What if
question.
we double team it and both cast mending together?
I don't think it's about your magic ability. I think it's about whether there's enough of the item left.
Oh yeah, it repairs a single break or tear.
Yeah.
So.
It'd be like repairing a car with the rearview mirror. Like, I could make the whole car. Like,
Yeah, no, that's not.
I do have a torch, so I will light a torch and hand it to Green. Oh no, I can't hand it to Green. You're in a bubble.
No, Green can still interact and everything. Green's just got like a bubble of floatiness around him.
Oh, okay. I will hand because my passive perception's not great, so I'm going to hand the torch to Green.
Okay.
Excellent. I will defend it with my life.
You still hear some sizzling from down below where the remnants of what's left of the lantern dissolve.
While they're getting organised, Morthrill would like to tap this square with a stick, so he's giving it the good old.
And again, like it pushes through.
Right.
And if you're going to do that all the way through, it looks like...
As soon as it goes through, he's going to pull back because that's all he needs to know is this solid or not. That's all he's testing for.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've got a perfectly good reason to believe that's more acid down there. I don't need to prove that.
Can we push Green in his bubble?
I think only I or Green can do it.
Just out of
Let me just double
curiosity.
check, sorry. First time using levitate. Glad to got to use it in quite spectacular fashion. No, Green's the only one that can move Green, but me or Green can change the altitude of the levitation.
Okay, so we don't have to worry of somebody suddenly kicking against the bubble and Green just going down the corridor.
Floating, aren't I?
Well, it
Do you want me
depends
to
if it counts
float
as a
over
fixed
the?
object.
Do you want me to float over the pit and go and investigate the door?
We couldn't get over to you again if something happened.
That's true. I'm gonna float down this way again.
Or could we? Says Morthwill, pulling out a bunch of planks from his bag of holding.
Ah,
Ship repair supplies.
Okay.
Incredible.
I respect it.
So we could. Well, I mean, we don't know if here's safe.
I'll float over to here and poke my broom downwards at the floor and try and map out where there's floor.
It seems to be just floor. There's no pit that you notice, like boop, 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 boop. It just seems
Okay.
like floor. Stone
I'll
floor.
poke the door with my
That's wooden, but still, like tonk, 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 tonk.
All right.
And there's a handle on this side, I should say.
Okay, I'll hammer some. Well, I would like to attempt to hammer some planks together as a makeshift bridge. Then.
I think you could probably do that. Now, just one thing. That is going to make noise, you realize. I don't know if that matters to you. You know. Doosh, 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 doosh. Hey, Harry, hand me the nails. You know, that kind of thing.
To be fair, someone's just
can
fell
I-
in acid.
Can I try to get my bearings a bit so that I realize that the door that Green wants to open there isn't really any space for anything behind that door?
We don't know that.
Yeah, that's the question. Do I realize that we're turning back towards the corridor that we came from?
I think you would recognize that. I think what conclusion you draw from it, think it depends on how you'd want to pitch it. I think you would definitely know that, it's turning back in the direction that you originally came from. There's that.
I'll just...
Imaginary points out that if one's trying so hard to get somewhere, one should have a reason to believe the reward is worth the effort. So,
I mean, Green has literally bled over this direction.
yes.
And
Well,
the
whatever
tunnel
equipment
could go
is.
down. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to meet up on the same level.
You know what? What have I got to lose? I would like to open the door.
Oh, no.
So when you open the door, you feel a little bit of tension, and then you hear a and then a snap, and you realize that there is a wire on the other side of the door, which is attached to the wall. A large stone falls from the ceiling. So now this is interesting because I need you to make a dexterity saving throw. What I'm trying to figure out is how we have you make a dexterity saving throw when you're floating. I think you still can because you're basically pushing off. So I need you to make a dexterity saving throw, please, Green.
Excellent.
And before you do that, chat, for anyone who is in my channel who has an inspiration, just be aware, you could inspire this player.
I want you all to know that this is a flat D20 roll.
So just be aware, if anyone's got those, has inspiration on my channel, just mentioning it. If you have, no, yes.
I'm about to roll
3,
a nat 20.
I'm learning so much, Nid1Play2 says. Okay. All right, here we go.
Let's go. Fine.
So a 9 is not going to do it. All right. I'm just going to roll a
Triffitt's just asked if they can buy an inspiration.
You
Can
have
I
enough
buy
channel.
an inspiration?
You can buy enough channel points. If you have enough channel points, yes, you can do that, Triffitt, because we do have 2 on the channel. No, it's all right. It's all right. Although technically I'm ex post factoing it a little bit, but it's okay. No, I'll allow you to do that because we do have 2 left channel point inspirations on my channel. So if you're using that to inspire Green, then Green, you can get another shot at that dexterity saving throw, assuming you want it, Green. Okay, so Triffitt has bought it and is using it.
Thank you, Triffitt. I promise this will definitely be a nat 20 this time.
Yes, a 7. So just a moment while I roll some dice.
Yeah,
Cool,
I don't
roll.
think you
That's
need to
never
do
good.
that. It's fine.
So, what I do wonder is, did Ozymandias get bored and decided to buy, to build a death trap labyrinth while everybody else was,
He must have
don't
been
know.
like a master mason, carpenter.
Can I? I mean, I got the undead
Actually, yeah,
things
Mortal
too.
should probably pick up on something like that.
Pick up on.
Maybe I should. Maybe,
oh,
This
maybe
is
we
quite
should
an
get-
elaborate
no, no, no.
dungeon.
It is. Yes.
Maybe we should get one of the undead guys to open doors for us.
Oh,
That'll be a good thing to think about after we talk about what happened with Green.
yes.
Yes, maybe in a moment Green is going to be our undead guy.
Yeah, no kidding.
Silver next session. What did I miss? Green.
Okay.
Have you heard about my other turtle, Crackshell Barnacle?
Crackshell Bartleby. That's a great name.
Right. Green is going to take a total of 35 points of bludgeoning damage as the stone hits. So Green is going to hit the ground with a slam and is at -7. Now the good news is that's not dead, but it is definitely unconscious dead. So
And
Green
and it's
is
dark again
bleeding
because
out.
Green had the torch.
There's a lot. That's right. And the torch. That's right. Well, the torch. That's right. So you just hear a, and then everything is dark, and then but you hear there's this shower of rubble that kind of falls, and there's a little bit of down this way.
Green's never
Green is
walking
silent.
anywhere ever again.
Okay, I have one single torch in my backpack.
Well, Morthwild, because of dark vision, can see that Green is lying on the ground, looking very much the worse for wear, covered in stone rubble.
Technically still floating, actually.
Oh,
'Cause
really?
It's my
Oh.
concentration.
I guess that's right. So, yeah. So the body is just floating up around, and behind Green, the door is open, revealing a blank stone wall.
Oh. All right. I'm going to cross my bridge because I'm Morthwell Gagonian and I own my workmanship.
You cross with no problem, and there are no more blocks in the ceiling to fall on you. So,
I
Alright,
take the torch. I take my torch out.
okay.
So first things first, stabilize Green. Or do I just have to heal?
If you heal, it'll just start from 0. Like so,
Okay.
it'll
All
start
right.
from 0 and then heal from there.
Good job I prepped some cure wounds then.
Yeah. Uh huh.
Right, give me a sec. Is that not casting? I don't cast. Oh, there it is. Because what spell? Yeah, no, level 1. 9 HP.
Okay, so Green, you start at 0 and you're back up at 9. So Green, you're kind of like, and you look up to see Morthwheel over you and just a bunch of
it's
stone
dark,
and rubble.
so I don't see anything.
Oh, that's true. You don't. There's a bunch of stone and rubble, though.
I'm giving Green my goggles at the night
No,
because Green
it's
needs to
fine.
get back.
Green has the cantrip light and has had it all along. So we'll cast light on his.
Huzzah!
Sorry, Green.
As
That's not how you disarm traps at all.
as the light goes on, you all now are able to see the very bruised and battered body of Green Morthwheel right nearby. This nice shining light. What did you cast light on, by the way? Are you casting it on
My sweeping brush.
your sweeping brush? So you can see the lit brush glowing in the gloom, and behind the bare stone wall and the stone rubble that's on the ground, and Morthwheel's wooden planks extending over the illusionary pit.
Someone else can walk in front next.
I think you've earned a break.
I go over to Green and make the lay hands on motion. So if he permits me to do it.
Yeah. Prestidigitation, clean some hands, and then I'm like, yeah.
And I give Green another 10 hit points.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're glad we took that rest now.
I want to get back to
Yeah.
the safe bit of the corridor now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe
I'm going to
Waves' new friends could take up some of the burden.
I'm going to sit here in my bubble.
Wait. I wonder if somebody who can actually talk better would be better to with the undead. I offer the medallion to Brian.
I take the medallion, and because I did the religion check with the medallion, I don't see any problem with it because it's not religious at all. So I put it on.
Okay. You are turned into no. You just put it on. Nothing happens. Yes, Dominus. Wrong break. Broken shell. Broken body. Green has had too many breaks. That's true. Lot of breaks. Yes, the medallion doesn't do anything to you at all, Brian.
In which case, I'm going to make my way back to the room with the undead.
Okay.
But before I open the door, I'm going to turn around to the others and say, "Do we want all of them to come, or do we just want one?"
I lift one finger.
One.
Let's just try one. We can keep the
Okay.
others for spares.
Okay. In which case, I'm gonna kind of just make motion to back up because I'm gonna take one of the big lads. Well, the others float.
That's a point.
You're wise.
So yeah, I'm going to open the door.
The
And
creature is
say-
right next to the door. So when you open it, it's like, "Brrr," like just this. It doesn't say anything. It's just standing right there, looming over you. And its head swivels down, looking right at you.
And I'm holding up the medallion.
Yeah, it just stares at
it's-
you.
Like I'm a vampire hunter.
Okay.
Like just look, trying to catch it in the eye.
Okay.
And say, "I need you to do as I say. The rest of you, stay here." And then I say, "You walk in front of me and turn right."
Okay. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw because it walks right over you as you say, I need you to walk in front of me.
Dex saving throw.
Yes.
What is this gin crap?
So
18.
it's fine. You manage to like against the wall as it goes here, then comes down here, and then where you said you wanted to turn, just go this way.
Yeah. And I say to the others, should we see what happens when it walks over the wood?
Are you stopping it? Because it's about to do that.
I say stop.
Like literally a foot from it stops.
And then I say to the others, do we want to know what happens when someone treads on that section of wood?
No.
We might want to just
No.
leave it being able to edge around the side because it might block off the corridor.
I make an explosion noise and then a choking noise and all of that.
It could be
and all that.
yeah, it could be any kind of nasty thing.
Okay, so
Besides, I could always build
Basically-
another bridge.
where do we want him to go then?
Maybe that way.
I'm down here.
Hmm.
So back up to this section and then down this section, just so I'm
Yeah.
yeah.
I like Waves preemptively moved out of the way. Like, yeah, I'm not...
I did a yelp, but my microphone was off.
Okay. So it
And then I
stops in
yell,
front of these
"Stop!"
2 doors. Okay. Oh, it stops like right here. I can stop it early if you want.
And
but-
it didn't set off any traps or
Nope.
anything. Okay, I'll follow with my light lit up broom.
Okay.
Can we see what's in front of it?
There are 2 doors. There's a door to the east and a door to the south. And here there is a little corridor extension that leads back to the same, spot where the strange wood platform is.
What do we think? South?
I'm not opening any doors.
We might want
I
to
would
stand back
get
if it's going through a
Yeah.
door.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's get
Maybe-
back behind this wall, and then I'm gonna tell it to go through the door, then stop.
Okay.
It would go through the door.
So it opens the handle.
Oh.
It walks through. And as you're watching this creature go through, you suddenly hear a loud twang, and a shower of bones comes flying out of the hall. Its rusted axe, zoo, 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 ding, 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 and a massive ballista bolt is embedded
Ballista!
in this side of the wall. Your undead servant is a pile of bones.
Isn't
And that's
it
where we're going to
ballista
bring our
siege-
session to a
isn't
close
it
for
siege
today.
weapon?
It's quite an impressively constructed labyrinth, to be fair. Credit where it's due.
It's a good job we've got a spare Minotaur skeleton.
Oh,
Just-
I'm so
just-
excited that you wanted to explore this place. So
Just from my player point of understanding, isn't a ballista a siege weapon?
yes, it's a very, very. It's a small ballista, but an extraordinarily large crossbow. It's yeah.
Like the Tritus uses in
Somebody
Discworld.
build or put or carry down here a siege weapon?
Yeah, as I say,
They
it's
did have too much time.
it is portable, but it's much larger than a normal crossbow. But the good
They-
news
they just
is
had too much time.
you've opened up some of these corridors and you're still all alive. That's the
Yeah, some of
That is
us
true.
even for the second time.
I'm feeling great. Like I could keep going.
Oh my goodness. That was really, really good time, even though we had to make it a short session. We went a little bit over anyway, but I want to be conscious of time. And we're getting these people to bed for them at a reasonable hour, not an ungodly hour now, so that's good. But yes, so they have explored part of this strange winding passageway underneath the abbey. And who knows where it leads. I bet they're hoping it leads somewhere awesome because... Yeah, the illusionary pit. By the way, I will say that you would need a passive perception of 19 to have seen that illusory pit.
Oh.
So that was just not. There was nothing you could do about that. Opening the fake door, that was another matter. But it was fine. Everything was fine. I was calculating how much it takes for instant death. I wanted to make sure that wasn't actually where we were headed. But you were fine. Only -7. It is a good thing you were all able to heal yourselves and you got the long rest though. So yes, we have not quite finished with the Abbey as I thought we might be today. So we will be able to wrap up the Abbey, I suspect. I guess we'll see in our next session, and then we'll be moving into the heading back to the mainland and moving into the end game. But this was a lot of fun, regardless. Although maybe not as much fun for the players' characters. I'll start with Bruce. Bruce, with the fact that you have this like high passive perception, it was like, this is great. You're able to see stuff, and you're like, I'm able to see more things, and I'm able to see more things. And it was like, then you got to the illusory pit, and I was looking at the DC on it. I'm like, that's gonna be and then, yeah, it was a lot. In case you're curious, the bludgeoning damage that stone block could have done. Could have been up to 8d8, so it could have been up to 64 bludgeoning damage at its maximum. Instead, I ended up rolling, I think, right at the middle. So it was a lot of traps falling on poor Green today. By the way, clutch levitate Saber out of Morthwill, because that would have been Green would have been in big trouble. How did you feel about today's session, other than a little shell shocked, if you'll pardon the pun? And where will the folks find you next, Bruce?
Yeah, I definitely had a thought of a meta gaming almost thought of like, there's not going to be another trap right next to that trap.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna walk on a single piece of floor ever again for the rest of my life without first checking for traps. But that's fun. I'm not dead, which is
It was
great.
fine.
And I'm glad that we had the big monster guy open that door.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's cool. No, it was very fun. It's actually a really fun, different kind of D&D experience, from battles to come to these traps that are actually way more dangerous than any battle we've been in.
That's
true.
true.
So yeah, I disrespected the traps, and I will never disrespect the traps again. And where people will find me next is in our very next D&D session, because I am a By the Dice Roll exclusive.
That's right.
Yeah.
I like that. We need to do that. That needs to be our shirt when we start doing the shirts. Just By the Dice Roll exclusive. That's the stuff.
Now I'm gonna get a shirt that says "You have been saved by Eldath."
But well, yeah, because right on so you have the By the Dice Roll logo, and then in the back you have Green's art, and then underneath "You've been saved by Eldath." And you just do one for each character, you know. I love it. Thank you, Bruce. Good work today, and I'm extraordinarily glad that we did not have a green death in this. That would have sucked. So moving right along, Inanda, good work today as well. I was really enjoying the idea of Brian actually leading this thing. Once Waves did it, then Brian leading this thing out of this situation. But it was interesting watching you navigate what was going on with those guys, because you were like, these guys, what is the deal with them? And everyone's like, well, but then immediately you're just like, but there's a secret passageway below the Abbey that's clearly filled with something awesome. And so everyone like moths to the flame. I mean, like, good adventurers are drawn into the mix. So it'll be interesting to see what Brian does. And also, quick note that we haven't talked about it yet, but when you leave, I'm curious if Brian's going to have any interest in these pirates that we're working with the merchants. Not that Brian has any experience with pirates, but I'm just saying. How did you feel about today, and where will the fine folks find you next?
I thought it was great fun. It was a little bit squeaky bum time in case we lost Green, because that.
And you're all in the dark, like just
and everything went dark, and I didn't know what was going on. Mm-hmm. But I'm very glad that it was the Minotaur opening that door as opposed to any one of us. And we have spare undead, so at least we can throw them into the fray first next time. But yeah, I really enjoyed it as always. And yeah, looking forward to the next session. You'll be able to find me next over on my own channel tomorrow, where I am hopefully going to finish Stray Gods, which is a fantastic game that I did start over on GOG when it first came out. So I've been playing that again over on my own channel. And yeah, looking forward to the next session.
Good stuff. Thanks, Nanda. Looking forward to it as well. Those of you who missed it, there was a schedule mix-up with Mike, so Wholesome Horror Gaming will be back to us next month, and we'll probably be very curious to find out what the hell is going on and why there are a bunch of exposed crossbows and or pit traps on this map. I am very much excited to see what Mike thinks. But you can find Mike on his own channel, Wholesome Horror Gaming, and back here with us next month. Moving right along, Saber, great stuff. Again, thanks for Dashboard and Moobot as always, and as far as the game is concerned, that levitate was very clutch, because what I was worried about was literally you were going to have to take that acid damage again in about 10 seconds. So I was like, you're going to have to either scramble up the side, someone's going to have to jump down, throw you a rope, which would then probably rot and disintegrate because of acid. It was nasty. So I was like, when you were like, levitate 20 feet, I'm like, that's good. I'm very glad to hear that. Because, oh my God. So that was very clutch. And obviously, now having a chance to see some of this area, this construction, whether or not you're able to determine how new or old it is. As we said, it's kind of newer, so what does that mean? Anyway, I'll be interested to see how Morthwill handles all of that stuff. How'd you feel about today, this little dungeon delving session, and where will the fine folks find you next?
I'd forgotten how brutal dungeon crawls can be in D&D. Probably the last time we did a properly serious one was back when I was playing Celsig. And then I had to remember, oh yeah, I can't deal with traps like I used to anymore. So I was like, yeah, I'm actually not that perceptive. I'll step back. Mm-hmm. But not how I expected to use my levitate spell. I've had that prepared since I got it, which was after we got back from the ship with the box, when it would have been useful. It's like, that would have been useful last part of the adventure.
Yep.
So I've had that prepared. The wooden planks, I got just, I stuffed my bag of holding full of them at the time when I found them. So these might be useful.
Just pull out wooden planks from a bag of holding. Yep. Well, there you go.
That's, I think that's a fairly traditional use for them.
Absolutely.
Great fun. I had a knot in my stomach for most of that, which turned into a boulder when Green disappeared. And
yeah, the looks on everyone's faces
enough.
that were just like, no, well, no. Like,
it's like, is it a pit trap? Is it some kind of teleport? Wherever Green's ended up is going to be bad.
Yep.
And then it was like, originally I was going to run over, drop a rope down, like regardless. It's like, that might be how I have to deal with this. But I was like, oh, wait, no, I still have levitate prepared.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Great fun. It's great to be back with everyone. I've had a blast today, and I'm looking forward to our next session, which will be hopefully a full 3 hours again.
Yes.
Because we'll have the time zones wrestled
Thank
back under
God,
control.
yeah, no kidding.
Oh yeah, you can also catch me here tomorrow and over on my channel most days, twitch.tv/darksaber2k. So take care, everyone.
Good stuff. Thanks, Saber. Last but certainly not least, Pyron, great stuff from Waves as well. I'm really glad that you searched Ozymandias to get that medallion, because I was like, as I don't think it's really much of a spoiler to recognize that these creatures are definitely affected by the medallion, at least these guardians were. And so that was pretty clutch, because originally I thought you were just going to go down in the Abbey, and I was like, all right, well, we're going to see how things go. But the medallion obviously changed things around quite a bit. I also loved the initial reaction, because, of course, as a DM, I know, right, like what is going to trigger them and not. But as a player, and I've been there, you're like, they're just looking at you like, what the hell does that mean? They're undead. Like, they always look at you. Like, are they going to attack me? So all of you were like, I put a toe in the room. I put it there. And they're just staring. So that was very funny. And then you're making like little sort of like moving up and doing the lay on, like the consent for lay on hands thing was quite legitimate and but it was fun, because it was one of those, do you want to have me lay on hands? Because clearly you need to have me lay on hands. So I am looking forward to seeing how Waves manages things going forward with a lot of deadly corridor area here that you're dealing with. How'd you feel about today? Where will the fine folks find you next?
Well, I think it's well known that I love dungeon crawling, so I'm really excited for this. I don't know why it is this concept of like going down to the dungeon and exploring and having all the traps, and I just love it. So I'm really happy about this. I do feel very sorry for Green, because I was like, I'm going with Green. I have a really high passive perception, and then like plop.
Yep, not high enough for that one. Yep.
So, yeah, I'm happy. I'm excited about it. I'm still sorry, Green. I failed you there. I really hope we can have a next session very soon, because let's go some more dungeon crawling, please. So I'm really looking forward to that. Off stream, I'm actually currently playing the Suikoden 2 HD remake on the Switch. Just in case there are some Suikoden fans here who have not heard that there is an HD remake, I do have opinions on especially the German translation and a few other things that we can talk about on Blue Sky or something. And this actually got me like totally into the PlayStation 1 mood. So I'm gonna put a little link into chat for another game that I actually played on PC because I do have the PC version, but I would like other fans to enjoy it, maybe also on PC. So maybe if you have a little vote for Breath of Fire 4.
Breath of Fire 4, yep.
Because I would like to see that. And yep. And just check the dream list for other titles. But I'm currently like very nostalgic PlayStation 1 and playing Suikoden 2 very happily, although I didn't have a lot of time, so I'm still very much at the beginning, but I'm happy about it and I wanted to tell everybody. So that's it from me.
Good stuff. Thank you, Pyron. And thank you, players. Again, for those in chat, we will be playing when we do By the Dice Roll sessions. They will be starting at this earlier time. In fact, even earlier than we started today because of the blessed daylight savings time. But starting next month, that will not be a problem, and we'll all be in the same zone, and we'll be going 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern on these sessions. And don't forget, chat, down the line, this group, I expect, is going to be, we're closing in on the finale. I will mention that ARVCon, which is my yearly thing that I do to benefit the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation, is going to be coming up in May. And I didn't tell this to the party, but Damon Runyon is going to be running a profile on me in their next newsletter and about what ARVCon is. So I mentioned that all because that's coming up in May. And I hope that I will be able to ask these players on one of the 3 to 4 days that ARVCon runs to be able to do hopefully a session during Europe-friendly hours, by the way, for people to play some of this. And who knows, maybe that'll be closing in on a finale, which is what I think we did for Storm King's Thunder and stuff like that back in the day. We'll see. But in any case, they will definitely be involved with more play going on over the next couple of months. Great work today, as always, players. It's a pleasure to be back with you. Thank you so much to Chat. Can we get some love for Pyron J, Darksaber 2K, Wholesome Horror Gaming, who will be back next month, Inanda, and Undeveloped Bruce. Everyone survived. No one died. It was all good. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next month. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care.
That is going to do it for us today. Really, really enjoyed this a lot. And man, I love D&D so much. It's so good. It's just great. Like every game is just so much fun in its own way. And so definitely the case with this too. Really, really enjoyed that a lot. Where's my camera? There's my camera. So thank you everyone for being a part of this. And if you liked what you saw and heard today, may I ask and recommend that you follow us here on GOGCom's Twitch channel. Please do follow By the Dice Roll as well. ByTheDiceRoll.com will bring you over to our webpage. We have a presence on Blue Sky. And if you follow us there, which you totally should, we'll be able to tell you if there are special events and things like that are happening. At the moment, our current home is GOGCom's Twitch channel, but we are a separate, group. Like we By the Dice Roll plays with it, we play games with each other like this. So there's more of that to come. So definitely follow us there for that. As for me, I will be back here next Tuesday. We have to schedule April. We have not done so yet. It's going to be April Fool's Day. We have not scheduled it yet. I don't know whether April 1st is going to work. That'll be up to my wonderful scheduler, Triffid, to work that out with the crew. But if it's not that, then it will be Neverwinter Nights Doom of Icewind Dale, which I've been having a lot of fun with, which I'll be playing next week. And if I am playing that, that'll be back to the normal time of 4 p.m. Eastern. If it's the By the Dice Roll stuff, we'll be doing at 2 p.m. So we will figure that out in terms of what happens over the next week or so. I also want to mention that if anyone is in the southwestern Connecticut area, on Friday, April 11th, I will be having the finale of my limited run Hearthglow D&D 5e podcast. That will be live at Sacred Heart University in Fairfield County at the Shine Auditorium from 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Very excited for this. It is set in my Hearthglow universe, my Tales and Tomes, the Forbidden Library universe. So you can all be a part of it. You can join it and see it, and maybe I'll be able to stream it. I don't know. But you can definitely be a part of it. If you live close by, I will have ticket information over the next few days. So please mark your calendars. Friday, April 11th from 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Also, I'll be on my channel on Thursday and on Saturday, both Thursday evening and Saturday evening, playing more Expeditions Rome, a GOG game. So that will be cool. cool as well. If you like what you saw and heard, please follow us here. Please subscribe to us here on the GOG Comes Twitch channel, and please consider clicking through and checking out our own channels, because we have our own subsystems and Patreons and stuff like that as well. Otherwise, thank you so much to the amazing By the Dice Roll crew of Pyron Jade, Darksaber 2K, Wholesome Horror Gaming will be back next month, Inanda, and Undeveloped Bruce. And thank you so much to all of you for watching. That's it for this and for episode 466 of Pen and Pixels. And if I don't see you on my channel, I will see you back here next week, Tuesday, for episode 467 of Pen and Pixels as that show rolls on. Until then, everyone, please be good to each other and have a good night.